Why do you have a spine?
Found it. Don't worry about it. You were supposed to be here like 6 hours ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. Good evening, class.
I thought Dr. Kelly was a man.
This is what happens when you don't cut your hair and shave too close. You look like a woman. I am your professor, the High Holy Reverend Father Elder 6'6" Sensei Dr. Brian Michael Kelly, PhD Senior III. Of course, here at Bridgewater we pride ourselves in teaching students the best ways to ethically and responsibly assassinate other students. One of the key ways of doing this is through drugs. Can anyone tell me what one of the most common potentially lethal drugs is?
So, you think it's like nicotine or cocaine? Or...
I mean, you can say those.
Okay, if you're gonna be a smart ass, it's alcohol.
Correct! Later in the course, we're going to be teaching you how to develop drugs like LSD and Rohypnol, but fortunately your targets are already consuming vast quantities of alcohol of their own volition. Now, recent studies show that about 16 million adults in America and over 100,000 youth have some sort of alcohol use disorder. And in addition to that, over 88,000 Americans die each year from alcohol-related causes, whether it's alcohol poisoning or drunk driving or some other alcohol-related incident. College students make an excellent demographic for assassination because about 60% of them drink monthly, and about 40% of them will binge drink. In addition to adversely affecting academic performance, alcohol also makes students more susceptible to violence. Each year, about 700,000 college students are assaulted by someone who's drunk, and 2,000 die from alcohol-related crashes or injuries. Overall, about 1 in 5 college students meets the criteria for an alcohol use disorder. This makes them the perfect demographic for young ninjas in training like yourselves. You should have no problem catching them off guard or overpowering them.
Yeah.
Not today. Before you go out into the real world for your first practicum, I'm going to teach you about the pharmacokinetics of alcohol. Alcohol's route of administration is generally oral. Any drug you take goes through a 4-step process: absorption, distribution, metabolism, and elimination. Whenever you, not you, but people like you, whenever you drink alcohol, it moves from your mouth to your esophagus, to your stomach, to your small intestine, where 85% of the drug is absorbed. The rest goes into the bloodstream and binds with proteins. We'll get into that later. The alcohol travels through the hepatic portal vein to the liver and from there into the vena cava, which leads to the heart. The entire blood volume of a human circulates in the body about once a minute, so it doesn't take long for the drug to be evenly distributed throughout the bloodstream. Then, the drug is metabolized slowly by the liver, which breaks the alcohol down into less active compounds. Most drugs have an elimination half-life and are metabolized at a rate that depends on how much is left in the systemic blood supply. But alcohol instead follows zero-order kinetics and is metabolized at a constant rate of about 1 drink an hour. Finally, a small amount of alcohol is excreted through the breath, but most of it is metabolized and the metabolites are trapped by the kidneys and excreted through urine, feces, and sweat. As for what it does once it's in the body, alcohol works as a depressant of the central nervous system and has a wide range of effects, but we'll cover those details later. Now, of course, I would never go out drinking. But fortunately, our targets are already out drinking because it is a Friday night, so I'm going to send you out to do some beginner practice assassinations just for your first lab practicum. It should be easy targets, nothing too difficult. And then I want you to come back and report and tell me how the different dosages that they had taken of alcohol, how that affected their vulnerability to you as assassins.
So, who are our targets and why are we assassinating them?
They're freshmen.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you gotta thin the herd. They get too rowdy.
Behold, the college dorm, a petri dish of narcotics that could rival any Rose's parking lot.
Hey, I live in a college dorm room. I don't think it's that bad.
That's why you're not one of our targets. Now, according to my sources, there should be a party taking place inside this dorm. I want you to go in and get a handle on the situation. Never strike without knowing your opponents.
Duh.
Looks like we have the full spectrum here. Tell me, students, what's happening to each of these subjects based on their blood alcohol content?
Don't we have to have a measurement of the alcohol in their body? A standard drink doesn't affect everyone the same way.
Very true. You should use your target's blood alcohol content, or BAC, to determine what effects they are currently experiencing. All subjects, regardless of size, weight, gender, race, will experience the same effects at the same blood alcohol content level.
Well, based on that, I think I can determine our target's BAC, given the fact I have ninja eyes, and also the fact I took blood samples while you guys were talking.
How?
Don't worry about it. Let's take a look at subject number 1.
As we can see from Subject 1's blood samples, he has a BAC of about 0.04, and given the fact that he's like 6'5", male, he has more muscle mass, and probably means he has more blood, meaning the alcohol has more space to spread out. Also, given his BAC, he's probably experiencing an increase in his heart rate and his respiration, as well as some moderate euphoria and a reduction in anxiety, all due to deficits in his frontal and prefrontal cortex. But he's still experiencing some cognitive and motor impairments, meaning he's an easier target for a well-trained ninja. Thank you, cerebellum impairment.
I thought alcohol was a depressant. Why is it causing an increase in heart rate and respiration?
Well, you have to remember that while it is a depressant, it also affects different areas of the brain at different times. For example, it affects the frontal lobe and the cerebellum first, and will then cause an increase in overall brain activity at low dosage. Duh.
He's got you there. And he got the ninja star, too. If I were you, I'd be worried about your grade.
And your life. I don't even need his BAC report to know what's going on with subject 2.
According to the data of the subject's blood samples, they have a BAC of 0.08. They are considered legally intoxicated for the state we are currently in and are experiencing a variety of deficits. Things like being recognizably sedated, a decrease in their ability to pay attention, significant impairment in the motor ability, and increased reaction time, which I might add makes them terrible at fighting, as well as mood disturbances leading to irrational thinking and actions in most cases. All of these are effects of increased inhibition in the frontal lobe and primary motor strip, as well as deficits in somatosensory cortex. They don't even know where their body is. How pathetic.
Not bad, even though you stole my data, but I'm pretty sure I know a lot more about Subject 3 than you do.
We'll see.
Subject 3's BAC registered at a 0.12, and this is where a lot of the really horrible deficits and helpful effects for us ninjas come in. Our subjects have severe impairment to the reaction time and their motor coordination. In some cases, they can't even stand up, much less put up a fight. They also can't make decisions or engage in cognitive tasks, allowing them to be easily suggestible and manipulated. This, coupled with blurred vision, slurred speech, and a loss of ability to encode memories due to impairments in the hippocampus, means that this target would be easy pickings for even a novice ninja assassin.
Your family is ashamed of you. You forgot one.
Yeah, but what about the fact that at this point the subject is much more aggressive and much more likely to engage in violent acts due to further deficits in the frontal cortex?
Well, Subject 4 is more interesting anyway. In fact, they're so cool, I'm gonna go inside to look at them. Now that we're inside, I want to make the point that Subject 4 is even more interesting anyway.
This subject has a recorded BAC of exactly 0.25 and is experiencing severe sensory and motor impairment. They have most likely blacked out and will not be able to remember anything until their BAC has gone down significantly. They have a reduction in their ability to perceive pain, proprioception, and even touch. Really, all their senses are shut down and out for the count due to the amount of alcohol in their system. Now, all this could be a problem, as a target that can feel no pain is a scary proposition, but subjects at this BAC also experience severe motor impairment to the point they cannot stand and will stumble around or crawl when they attempt to move to a new location. They're barely conscious and cognizant.
The next subject is in pretty bad shape. I think I'm going to start on subject 5.
But what?
Oh, nothing. I'm good.
This subject has a BAC of 0.38. It was probably easy to get a blood sample from them given the fact that they are passed out. This individual will not experience or at least perceive pain as they are under significant anesthesia. They are experiencing impairments throughout their limbic system, and the alcohol is starting to inhibit regions that govern vital reflexes such as the medulla, which explains why they are also experiencing repressed and shallow breathing. In some cases, the individual experienced death at this point.
Very good. I'll take the next subject. I don't need your data though, as I'm a trained ninja master and can tell a person's BAC just by looking at them. No questions! Ninja stuff. This subject has a BAC of 0.49. They are completely unconscious as their mental faculties have been completely shut down due to the amount of alcohol in their system. They are experiencing very shallow breathing if they're breathing at all. And this subject is dead. Yep. Dead.
Who are you?
You have much bigger problems than me.
Ah! Oh no!
Pretty effective.
Good job.
Well, that went well, but how do we know they're dead?
I have an idea. These clothes feel weird.
But they won't suspect a thing.
So, how did it go?
So, why do you have a sword?
There was an incident at Cole's. It's been resolved. Put it away. So, it looks like your first mission was a success. Did the alcohol make your job any easier? This means yes. This means no. Very good. Glad you noticed. What effect did alcohol have on your targets on a pharmacokinetic level? You don't have to raise your hand. Go ahead.
Well, from the pharmacokinetic level, which is how drugs move through the body, the alcohol is first consumed, then absorbed in the stomach and intestines. From there, the alcohol is metabolized by the liver. The enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase is responsible for metabolizing the alcohol. The alcohol is then metabolized in acetaldehyde. Then, the acetaldehyde is converted into acetic acid. The acetic acid can then be broken down into carbon dioxide and water, and safe for excretion from the body.
I think you mean acetaldehyde.
Not to mention, someone who eats a lot of protein a few hours before they go out drinking is able to drink more, whereas someone who drinks on an empty stomach is going to get drunk a lot quicker. This is because of the process of rapid gastric emptying. When someone drinks on an empty stomach, there's nothing in there to hold the alcohol in their stomach and allow for the enzymes at the lining of the stomach to help, metabolize it before it gets into the small intestine. Not to mention, that would increase blood alcohol contents.
There are also many factors that may have an effect on the metabolism of alcohol, such as gender, ethnicity, nutritional status, genetics, just to name a few. For instance, a male of the same weight as a woman would still be able to drink more than a female because females have more body fat than males, and alcohol does not readily absorb into fat. Therefore, the alcohol remains in the bloodstream at higher concentrations. Also, men have more alcohol dehydrogenase enzymes, which allows them to metabolize more alcohol, allowing them to drink more than women.
Very good. So, someone tell me what alcohol does on the pharmacodynamic level. You don't have to raise your hand. Tell me.
Pharmacodynamics refers to the mechanism of action in which the drug affects one's body. Alcohol affects a number of physiological systems, such as the urinary tract. One example of what it does is when ADH is not being used, its job is to make sure water is conserved in the body, making it so one pees a little less. Pardon my foul language. However, when alcohol is consumed, the enzyme ADH is being used to break down the drug alcohol rather than being used to make sure water isn't excreted from the body. This is why one pees a lot when they drink. And it made our jobs as assassins easier because people were more concerned about the fact they had full bladders than the fact that we had very sharp knives and were coming toward them with ill intent.
Yeah, not to mention the effects that alcohol had on their behavior. At lower doses, people generally found an increase in well-being, confidence, and sociability. This stimulant-like behavior is because of alcohol's indirect effect on alterations in dopamine and opioid transmission. GABA acts as an inhibitor on motor and reward systems in the frontal lobe. When you inhibit the inhibitor, such as GABA, you get stimulation, and that stimulation results in feelings of reward, which is caused by dopamine increase. As drinking increases, the reward sensations begin to decrease as well. Alcohol inhibits glutamate and stimulates GABA. As GABA increases, so does sedation, muscle relaxation, and inhibition of cognitive and motor functions.
Alcohol also has many negative effects on every organ in the body, but most importantly, the brain. And the first structures in the brain that are affected by alcohol are the prefrontal cortex and the frontal lobe, which are in charge of planning, judgment, and social behavior. And they also completely regulate the limbic system, which is in charge of emotions and hunger and sex drive and all those dumb things we don't need as ninjas.
Speaking of sex, most people's first sexual encounter has to do with alcohol because alcohol impairs decision making. 90% of all campus rapes involve alcohol because alcohol inhibits the frontal lobe, and when the frontal lobe is inhibited, your inhibitions are inhibited. And furthermore, your testosterone levels are rising, so as your limbic system is like, we're free, all you want to do is have sex.
I was gonna get to that, and that was a little weird. Was that weird?
Maybe for you.
Hola, chica bonita.
Okay, well, other effects would include inhibition of the cerebellum. When alcohol is used, it prevents fluid pre-planned motor reflexes from occurring, meaning that if you were throwing a throwing star, it wouldn't go so well.
Very good, students. It seems like you've learned a lot since the beginning of this module.
Where do you keep getting these throwing stars?
Expect great things. Speaking of great things, I think in order to celebrate, we should take shots!
Time to go.
I taught them well. Rolling. Is it still recording? Correct!
I now just do a shot.
What?
Oh no, my battery's at 14%.
Oh, dear.
I live in a comedy store room. Oh wait, I don't have my mask on.
According to my sources, there should be a party after. Hang on.
Not every stand and drink affects the people the same.
Where's my Oscar? Oh, you're having me in the face and it really hurts.
You've beaten a woman, you monster! You are blackout drunk. You are almost dead.
I don't know if I can do this.
Like that, yeah.
I thought you could go back to laughing.
I can't help it, but I'm perfect. And you're not. Self to hide. Self to hide. Okay, I'm gonna try.
For chemistry,
That's why there's abbreviation!
and my face hurts.
It's chafing your mustache.
It really is.
Alcohol has. Oh, am I reading the right thing? I'm not.
Oh, could you put the face scarf up? Because I have you in this shot.
Now I want them to see. You have to take it off the end and just like have like those fake carnival teeth in. Just like, hi guys. And you're like,
Sorry. Sorry.
No.
that is not the Dr. Kelly way.
Is it facing that way?
Dr. Kelly!
Looking good.
She has a fiance. Oh, it's gonna be lovely.